Good evening. I'm Peter Marriott, formerly Head of Spanish and Assistant Head Teacher at JCG, and I've been teaching the A-level at JCG for some 20 years. So I'm presenting to you tonight to tell you all about why I think Spanish is a fabulous subject to study at A-level. You can see the quote here from one of our Year 13 students. Spanish is fun, interesting, fantástico. The best lesson of the week. It's a beautiful language. It's extremely useful, not only in Spain, but in so many other parts of the world. And in a way, I need to say no more, but obviously I am going to, and I hope you stay with me and this presentation is of some interest to you. So, as already mentioned, Spanish is very widely spoken, and one of the things I love about Spanish is the fact that nearly everywhere you go, somebody knows some Spanish and is prepared to practice it with you. Of course, it can take you much more widely than just Spain, and we'll talk about that a little later. Something else I love about Spanish is the people that speak Spanish. They're warm people. They are open people. They love it when you have a go. My experience is that it's just opened so many doors to friendships and fun, really. I think that Spanish people, they speak too fast and you ask them to speak more slowly and then they try that for a minute and then they start going too fast again. And it's just good fun. And they are happy to laugh with you and maybe at you about your Spanish skills. But having said all that, on the serious side, not only is it fun, but also if you speak another language, it's so highly valued by employers. In a way, it doesn't matter that it is Spanish. Of course, I want you to do Spanish, but it doesn't matter that it's Spanish. It can be just that you speak another language because it shows that you have heightened communication skills, that you're invested in communicating with people, that you're interested in communicating, and that's really important. The Spanish-speaking world, we always obviously think of Spain, but actually a vast number of countries in Latin America also speak Spanish. And as you can see, it's really pretty much only Brazil where Spanish isn't spoken in South America. And of course, that's a developing economy, somewhere where there's potential for new business and new interest, and obviously widens your possibilities for travel. We could add quite a lot of the USA there as well, because there are an awful lot of people in the United States of America who have Spanish as their first language. So 470 million people, if you like statistics, have Spanish as their native language. And there are 68 million people like me who speak Spanish, but it's not their native language, and 21 million people who are studying Spanish at the moment. So huge numbers of people interested in Spanish, and they're not all wrong. Obviously, they've got lots of reasons why they want to study Spanish and are involved and interested in Spanish. But also, it just means that it opens so many doors to communication in the wider world. And I think now, above all, we're seeing the effects of Brexit and that closing of the doors. We almost need to be doing the opposite and opening doors in order to widen our sphere. So what do we study? I think that's one of the great things about A-level. At GCSE, you're really building that grammar and you're building the basis to be able to do things that are more interesting in languages, because obviously the amount of language you have limits what you can talk about at GCSE. But as you grow as a linguist, it means you can discuss things that are just generally of interest. So we look at modern values, the cyber society, equal rights. So today in my Year 12 lesson, we were talking about mobile phone use, how that's changing and developing, and that's of great interest. And of course, we'll go on to talk about arts and to talk about, you know, famous Hispanic idols, singers, stars of the cinema, the influence they have, whether that's a positive influence or a negative influence, all of that sort of thing. We also talk about regional Spanish identity, which of course is of great interest because the different regions are fiercely independent in some ways, and some of them so fiercely independent they want to be independent of the Madrid government. So that's of great interest too. And of course, Spain has rich cultural heritage, great influences from the Moors in southern Spain, and that's of great interest too to everybody who studies the subject. In year 13, again, meaty subjects that you might study in English actually, and people study them and reach a level in their Spanish that they can discuss them more or less like they would in English. And we've just been with our year 13 studying immigration, racism, thinking about the marginalized people like the gypsies in Spain, huge gypsy influence in Spain, and they enrich the culture, but also they have some unpopularity amongst governments and locals, and that's of interest too. We also talk a lot about immigration because, of course, Spain being in southern Europe has immigration coming across from Africa in little boats called pateras, and we talk about all of the systems that Spain has to have in place to receive those immigrants and process them and look after their well-being, and that's of course of great interest at the moment too. And we also look at political life, how young people are active citizens, and of course that ties in so well with what we hope that students at college become active citizens. Monarchies and dictatorships are interesting in Spain because we've got a former king, Juan Carlos, who was very popular because he transitioned Spain from the dictatorship to democracy, but of course now is suffering from a bad reputation due to money handling and a few other things. But also the dictatorship of Franco is relatively recent in history, and we can still talk to people. In fact, our language assistant grew up in Franco's Spain, so that's something that our students always find engaging. So that's the themes. The other thing that we study over the 2 years is we can vary this actually, but at the moment we study a film and a play. So we've been studying the film Volver, which is an incredible film by Pedro Almodóvar, a famous Spanish cineasta, and it's different, it's alternative, it's also thought-provoking and gives you lots and lots of stuff to write, which is really helpful. Las bicicletas son para el verano is a play about the effect of the Spanish Civil War on a regular family living in Madrid, and it's a great play to learn about the Civil War and maybe to think more widely about the effects of war on a community. And of course, our society is never without that, and we can always relate it to some modern day situation, sadly. So those are the two pieces we're studying at the moment. That can vary, and that may vary depending on who's teaching it. So I think you're all aware that Mrs. Legale was head of Spanish. She has moved, and we're having a new head of Spanish starting in January, Mrs. Gordon. She's currently head of Spanish at Elizabeth College in Guernsey, a very competent and experienced teacher taking over the department. And she may change some of the things, the choices in the course, but that's what we do at the moment, just to give you an idea. Trips. Let's hope we can go on a trip again. We were one of the very last school trips to go away from Jersey before the pandemic. We went in March 2020, just before everything closed. We had an amazing time in San Sebastian. I'd love to be able to go back to San Sebastian because it's just it's got such a great setup. The host families are good. The school that we study in is very well set up. And the area, San Sebastian itself, is very good for students. It's a nice city that feels fairly safe. It's got a beach, although we don't tend to go when it's really hot, but it's got nice shops, and it's got some good cultural things to visit and amazing food. And I think that's one of the things I love about Spain. The tapas in San Sebastian are incredible, and the students love that too. So that's one good reason to go. And above all, that feel that you are communicating in Spanish and you're making your Spanish work is so rewarding, and our students love that. The other thing that we do offer, or we have offered, obviously not in recent times, but we have offered, is work experience opportunities. And students go to do bizarre jobs, really. I know somebody went to a pet parlor in Spain, but they go and they do jobs in Spain and immerse themselves, and it really helps their Spanish and their knowledge of the country. So a little breakdown of the exam. It is mostly exams, so there's not really any coursework, although I'll talk about the speaking a little later, where there is a little bit of individual research and preparation that you can do. So listening, reading and writing. What people love about the A-level exam compared to the GCSE is that students control their own listening. They decide when to pause, when to listen, and they can play it as many times as they like within the boundary of the time that's available for the exam. The writing is 2 essays based on the film and the literature we've studied, so what I was talking about before. And then the speaking includes the presentation that you prepared yourself. I'll talk about that a bit more. Some discussion on that, and then discussing a stimulus card, which is on a topic that we've studied over the 2 years. And that's something we practice and that students get used to doing. So a little bit more about the speaking. So at the moment, my year 13 students are in the depths of preparing their individual research project. They can choose anything they like pretty much, which interests them, as long as it's about Hispanic culture. And I've put some examples at the bottom there. The Venezuela crisis, the Zara success story, and maybe the challenges. I had somebody studying Cuban music last year, which was really interesting. The pros and cons of bullfighting, the advantages of the Mediterranean diet and its sustainability, because obviously Spain, like other countries, is having its traditional diet challenged by so many foods from abroad. So, you know, do you have a lovely Mediterranean salad or do you have a McDonald's burger? I had one student looking at Spanish football and the rivalry between Barcelona and Madrid. Independence, I talked about a bit about that. I had somebody talk about the story of Rafael Nadal, and another interesting topic was the women in society, Spain having been a traditionally macho society, and that being perpetuated during the dictatorship, and then how it's changed subsequently. That was of great interest to this student and a very interesting topic to study. The great thing about the individual research project is that the students know more than the examiner about it, and so feel really in control of the speaking test, which is a great situation to be in and quite realistic, because usually when you're talking about something with a Spanish friend or something, it's something you know about. So, reasons to study Spanish. In brief, work and business, those opportunities, those doors it opens. You know, if you speak somebody's language, you're much more likely to sell to them. They don't have to make the effort because you know and you can do it. New culture, opening a whole load of new films, new literature, new everything, new art. Widens your appreciation, and then those fabulous travel opportunities, taking you Spain, Latin America, absolutely amazing opportunities. That's about all I have to say on all of that. I'm going to just change my screen slightly so that hopefully you can just see me, I think, if I can work it. Let's see if this works. No, it's not. And I'm going to look and see if you've got any questions for me. Not seeing any coming through. I've got a question from Freya saying, "Can you see me?" And Freya was going to going to be on this call, but actually I can't see you, Freya. I'm sorry. I can't see you right now. But I wonder whether I can sort of preempt the sorts of questions that you might ask me, or you might have asked me. One of the things people say is, you know, if I'm not sure that I want to study Spanish at university, what's the point in studying Spanish at all? And my answer to that is that it shows you to have reached a really good level of education, because it's not an easy subject to study by any means. You do have to work. So it shows a level of commitment to learn a language. It shows somebody who's prepared to go out of their comfort zone. It shows that you're somebody who has an enabling A-level, an A-level that can take you to do something else, to something better, something different. Okay. In terms of how we support you between GCSE and A-level, like all subjects, we offer bridging work. The bridging work we offer gives you lots of choices about what you do, and I think that's something that continues through the A-level, because like other subjects, you have 3 hours of core work a week and then 2 hours of self-directed, and that could be watching a film, it could be reading an article you like, following a blog, whatever it is, as long as you're immersing yourself in Spanish. and most people find that they can cope with the homework load because it is as it's supposed to be. And those are a couple of things that I can think of that sometimes people ask, but I don't know if you want to type any more questions in the Q&A. I can see the Q&A if you've got any questions for me. Very quiet bunch. Okay, if that's the case, it's been lovely speaking to you. I am available if you've got any questions. Please just email me, p.marrett@jcg.sch.je. Try to make sure there's only one R and two T's in the Marrett, otherwise it won't get to me. It's been lovely to speak to you this evening, and thank you very much.